You are born in a farmhouse on the outskirts of Medellín, not in a hospital, because hospitals keep records, and records are evidence. There is no birth certificate, no government file, no digital footprint. A midwife delivers you by candlelight while six armed men patrol the perimeter of the property. Your first breath smells like wet earth and gunpowder. Your mother is not in the room. She is 40 kilometers away, sitting in the back of a bulletproof Mercedes, reviewing a shipment manifest on an encrypted tablet. She is the most powerful woman in South America, though no newspaper has ever printed her face. They call her La Reina, the Queen. She controls a network that stretches from the coca fields of Bolivia to the ports of Rotterdam, and she has done it for 15 years without ever being photographed, arrested, or named in a single indictment. You are her daughter, her only child, and the world does not know you exist. That is not an accident. That is architecture. You grow up on a finca, a 300-acre estate hidden in the green hills outside Cali. It has everything: a pool shaped like a lagoon, stables with imported Arabian horses, a library with books in 4 languages, and a kitchen where a private chef prepares whatever you want. You wear European clothes ordered through intermediaries. You are tutored at home by 3 teachers: mathematics, languages, and history, all of whom believe your mother is a wealthy coffee exporter. But even in paradise, you notice the seams. At age 5, you count the security cameras, 47 on the property. At 6, you realize the gardeners carry radios and sidearms beneath their aprons. At 7, yet you ask your nanny why you cannot go to school. She hesitates and says, "Your mother wants to keep you safe." You ask, "Safe from what?" She does not answer. At age 8, your mother visits the finca for the first time you can clearly remember. She arrives at night, no headlights, no announcement, just the sound of gravel under tires and the sudden tension of every guard on the property standing straighter. She is smaller than you imagined, precise. She wears no jewelry except a thin gold chain with a single emerald. She holds your face in her hands and studies you, not with warmth, but with assessment. She says, "You have my eyes. That is good. Eyes are the only thing people trust." She stays for 2 days. She reads to you at night, not fairy tales, but newspaper articles about economics. She explains inflation, supply and demand, and the concept of monopoly using the coffee beans from the finca's own plantation. "Whoever controls the supply controls the price," she says. "Whoever controls the price controls the people who depend on it. Remember that." At age 10, a girl from a nearby village, a farmer's daughter named Camilla, sneaks through a gap in the perimeter fence. You find her by the horse stables. She is your age, barefoot and curious. For 3 weeks she comes every afternoon. You play together, braid each other's hair, and share mangoes stolen from the kitchen. She is the first friend you have ever had. One afternoon, Camilla does not come. The gap in the fence has been welded shut. You ask the head of security what happened. He looks at you with no expression and says, "The perimeter has been corrected." You never see Camilla again. You are not told whether she is alive. You are told nothing. Because in this world, questions are not answered, they are discouraged. At 13, your education changes. Your mother sends La Contadora, the accountant, a woman in her 40s with reading glasses, no makeup, and the calm demeanor of a university professor. She has moved over $11 billion across 3 continents without a single flag from any financial authority on Earth. La Contadora teaches you the business, though she never calls it that. She calls it the smoke. She says, "Imagine you are selling perfume. The perfume is made in the South. It is shipped north. People in the north pay extraordinary prices for it, but the government does not want people to buy this perfume. So you must make the money from perfume look like it came from flowers." She teaches you about front companies, flower export businesses in Ecuador, real estate firms in Panama City, restaurant chains in Miami that are always fully booked on paper but half empty in person. She explains how a single dollar can be split into 12 transactions across 6 countries before it lands, clean, in a private account in Zurich. She draws diagrams on a tablet that wipes itself every 90 seconds. At 15, your mother gives you your first responsibility: overseeing the logistics of a legitimate flower export company that operates from the finca. Real flowers, real customers, real revenue. But beneath the roses and orchids, the company also generates paperwork, invoices, shipping manifests, so customs declarations that provide cover for a parallel supply chain moving product through the same ports in the same containers. At 16, you attend your first meeting of the inner circle, 7 people who sit in a concrete room beneath the finca's guest house. No phones, no recording devices. These are the people who run the network: a logistics coordinator, a chemist, a port authority contact, a money launderer, a lawyer, a communications specialist, and your mother, who sits at the head of the table and listens more than she speaks. When she does speak, every person in the room stops breathing. At 17, you are sent abroad for the first time. Buenos Aires under a false identity, a Colombian student studying architecture. You live in a flat in Palermo. You take the bus. You eat empanadas on park benches. For 6 months, you are nobody's daughter. You are just a girl. You meet a boy named Tomas in a bookstore. He is studying journalism and wants to expose corruption in Latin America. He is passionate, idealistic, and believes that transparency can fix broken systems. You fall for him in 2 weeks. One evening, sitting on a rooftop watching the sunset over the Rio de la Plata, he asks what your mother does. You say, agriculture. He smiles and says, that sounds peaceful. You smile back and something inside you fractures. Quietly, permanently. At 18, a car arrives at your flat at 3 a.m. A woman you recognize from the finca security team. Reina needs you home. You do not say goodbye to Tomas. You do not pack your books. You leave your empanada wrapper on the kitchen counter and your half-finished architecture sketch on the desk. You vanish, the way your mother taught you, completely and without evidence. At 19, your mother brings you into the operation, not the flower company, the real one. You are given oversight of the Southern Corridor, a supply route running from processing labs in Bolivia through the jungle into Colombia, then to a port on the Pacific coast. You manage 14 people. You track shipments on encrypted software. You speak in code. Product is furniture, money is rain, police are weather. You are good at it. You inherited your mother's mind, precise, strategic, and 3 steps ahead. You reduce transit losses by 40% in your first year. You identify a leak in the Port Authority contact's office and eliminate it, not with violence, but with information. You find his mistress, learn she is in debt, pay the debt, and own them both. Your mother, for the first time, looks at you not with assessment, but with recognition. At 21, you are promoted. You now oversee 3 corridors and a money laundering network that runs through a chain of boutique hotels in Cartagena and a construction company in Sao Paulo. You have a team. You have a penthouse in Bogota with bulletproof windows. You have a wardrobe full of designer clothes you can never wear in public because your face must remain unknown. At 22, the betrayal. A man named Esteban, your mother's most trusted logistics coordinator, a man who has been with the organization for 20 years, is discovered feeding routes to a rival network operating out of Sinaloa. You are summoned to the concrete room beneath the finca. Esteban is there. Your mother is not. She never is for these things. But her order is clear. Let my daughter see how loyalty is maintained. You watch. You say nothing. 11 minutes. When you leave that room, the girl who read architecture books in Buenos Aires is gone. Something has been surgically removed from inside you. Not innocence exactly, but the belief that you could ever go back to being the person who ate empanadas on a park bench. At 23, your mother is diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. She tells no one outside the inner circle. A sick queen is a vulnerable queen. She continues to appear at meetings via encrypted video, her voice steady, her face composed. But you begin making the decisions. The 7 people in the concrete room now look at you. At 24, you survive your first assassination attempt. A car bomb in Cartagena, planted by Sinaloa in retaliation for a territory dispute. Your driver is killed. You walk away with glass in your shoulder and a sound in your ears that will never fully go away. You spend 2 weeks in a safe house in the mountains, replaying the explosion, understanding with mathematical certainty that your life expectancy is a calculation, not a promise. At 25, your mother dies. Quietly, on the finca, in the room where you were born. Her last words are not about the business. She holds your hand and says, "Sir, I built this so you would never be powerless. I am sorry it made you something else." The inner circle meets within hours. The 7 become 6. Your mother's chair is empty. They look at you. They do not ask if you want to lead. They do not offer condolences. They simply wait for your first order. You sit in her chair. You give it. Here is what no one tells you about being the daughter of a queen. The crown is not a gift. It is a lock. It does not sit on your head. It grows into your skull, fusing with the bone, becoming part of the structure until you cannot tell where the crown ends and you begin. You were hidden to be protected. You were educated to be prepared. You were isolated to be controlled. And now you sit in the same chair, in the same room, giving orders through the same encrypted channels, and the rain on the roof sounds exactly the same as it did 25 years ago when you took your first breath in a farmhouse that doesn't exist, in a country that pretends you were never born. The girl who played with Camilla by the horses is gone. The girl who kissed Tomas on a rooftop in Buenos Aires is gone. What remains is the architecture, the smoke, the flowers, the corridors, the clean money flowing through dirty rivers. What remains is a name that no one knows but everyone fears. Reina is dead. Long live Reina. And the rain keeps falling, the way it always has, the way it always will.